Importing custom models into Horizon isn't necessarily what I'd call intuitive. So today we had a request in the Discord about importing transparency, and I thought we should take a quick look. So first of all, we've got a model that we're going to be using that they had purchased just to demonstrate. We've also got a cheat sheet here, which I'm going to show you how to find that. So we have the All the Things document linked in the description. And inside the All the Things document, there is a summary page. And this is where you can go looking for anything that you want to learn about. And if we scroll through here, we're going to find a section on custom model. Inside a custom model, we can see there's glow custom models, custom model, tri-mesh, transparent alpha glass custom models. This is obviously the one we're looking for. This is a growing document, so there's quite a bit that still needs to be added to the custom model section. But for now, we're going to go ahead and click on this. And here we can see it says when importing custom models into Horizon, it's possible to apply transparency. This is done by naming the material in Blender _transparent and uploading the file with the secondary texture labeled Mesa. And if you've never done that before, it's pretty unclear. Now we have two tutorials you can look at for bringing glass windows in, and we have another tutorial which I wrote last year on importing and making animated textures with TypeScript, but it also comes with this incredibly useful cheat sheet. And in this cheat sheet, you'll see this is the default. So you've got your FBX file, which is not an image in this case, it's an actual refrigerator. And then that file is uploaded with the texture named _BR, which stands for base color and roughness. So B stands for your base color and R is your roughness. That's where the alpha channel represents roughness for reference. This is named image as the material name in Blender. And then if you want, you can upload that with a metallic emission or occlusion secondary texture where RGB correlates to MEO, which is your metallic emission and occlusion channels. So using E for emission, your green channel, you can make things glow. They don't actually put off color, but or they don't put off light, but they do look like they're glowing. It's kind of like Unlit almost. And I think they do cast light inside the image as well. There's also options for Unlit image, Unlit blend image, which is an Unlit image with transparency. This is transparent image, which is what we're looking for. You can see that's uploaded with your default image BR. And you also upload that with a Mesa secondary file, which stands for metallic emission, specular, and alpha. Specular is very similar to occlusion, and alpha is what gives us transparency. It needs to be named _transparent in Blender. So to get started on this, we're going to download these files that I'd received, and we'll just use this as an example because it's a little bit harder. So I'll click Save for now. And then down here you can see all of the textures that came with this model that they had purchased. And we need to find the ones that represent the base color. And Horizon, there's ways to apply this in Horizon, but it's not super easy. So I haven't learned how to do it, but you basically have to use like an image editing software to change the roughness channel of your BR image file. Out of scope for today's video. If somebody is interested in that, ask in Discord and maybe we can find somebody to get us some more information because I'd love to learn that at some point too. We're gonna go click Open in Browser, and that's important if you're sharing files on Discord, by the way. Otherwise you download a compressed version of the file. So these are the raw files here. Go ahead and save image as to our downloads and save. And I'm also noticing these are JPEG images, which Horizon does not support. So we're gonna have to convert those to PNG. Hopefully I remember to do that. Go ahead and click save. All right, so now that we've got those downloaded, we're gonna head into Blender. Although it might be best to just show you how you can import this without using Blender first. So let's go into just kind of this empty world. I've been using it lately. And the first thing we need to do is find those files here in downloads. There they are. And so we can see we got the fridge color and the glass color in the fridge. I'm going to create a new folder, which is today's date, which is 7/1/2025. So I do the reverse of that, 25-7-01. Happy new month. And then we'll drag those in just so it's nicely organized. Perfect. All right, so I've got those at the ready on the side, and then we're going to go into My Assets, and we're going to add a new 3D model. And we're not going to preserve offset pivots, we're just going to choose the file. And this is the easiest way to add a model that you've gotten from the internet. So you just select the FBX file, press Open, press Import. And because these are not PNG, and Horizon only supports PNG. I want to double check that. Texture files must be in PNG format. Perfect. Things have been changing recently a lot, so I'm like, maybe I should double check. But see, now this file is imported, and when I click on it, you'll see that there are probably a couple errors. I'm surprised it's not showing the errors, but when we pull it out, it's going to be untextured. So we need to get these textures ready. And I'm realizing this is really curious. This is really curious because I know this is using 2 textures, so I'm not sure what this will do. Let's start by using the regular fridge. Because it doesn't look like the desktop editor can support multiple textures, because this is just one model, and I can't like divide it or go inside of it to see the different textures. So anyway, we're going to export both of these just while we're at it. So we'll click Save As, to Downloads, to here, change it to a PNG, and this is the fridge. Okay. And then we need the secondary one, which is the glass. We'll click 3 dots, Save As, same folder, save it as a PNG, and then change it to glass. There we go, nice. All right, so now that we have those, when we come into Horizon, we can now upload those by adding new texture. So what I want to say here is normally you're only going to have 1 texture, but because this has transparency, it has 2 textures, so we do need to go into Blender to get this to work. But for some models that only have 1 texture, you can just upload it, and then once these textures are finished, apply the texture from the Properties panel here. So you just select the fridge texture, and I think this is going to inappropriately apply the fridge texture to the glass. Oh, interesting, it didn't. How interesting. So yeah, it only applied to the fridge perfectly. So that looks good, but it's, you know, the glass is white, it's not visible. And I'm assuming if I apply the glass texture, it's going to apply the glass texture in the wrong places to, yeah, there we go. So peculiar how that works, but let's get this set up correctly and imported correctly so that we can actually have transparent glass, as that is our goal today. But I did want to show you how you can easily, quickly import a model without touching Blender, just by doing that. And you can even change the color by tinting it. So if you want this to be a different color, you could change it to like a purple, change the tint amount to 0.5, and now it's, wow, that actually looks pretty good for just a quick change. And you can change the value for tint strength to be like 1, so now it's super bright. Changing it to 0.9 makes it a little more realistic. You can change the brightness to like 0.5 if you want it to be dark and moody, like if it's a night scene or something. But anyway, we'll turn this off by setting it back to 0 and brightness back to 1. And we're going to go ahead and minimize this for now. Now we're here in Blender, and in Blender we can import an FBX by going File, Import, FBX, and then from FBX we'll go to Downloads, go to Today, there's the fridge, click Import, and here we have it. So now that we have our fridge in here, I could show you how to make it look correct in Blender, but I think that would be a mistake. So let's first just make it work in Horizon, and then I'll show you how to make it look good in Blender. So we're going to drop down here, and you're going to see that there are 2 elements on this model, the fridge mat and the glass mat. When we click on this, we can go down to the beach ball, kind of red ball icon here, which is the material properties. And here we can see these 2 materials. To link these up to Horizon, we need to make sure the name is set up nicely. So we have fridge. We're going to remove the underscore. Underscores are reserved for Horizon, so if you have any underscores, it could cause problems. So we're going to just type fridge, and then the glass is going to also be glass. I'm capitalizing this just for my own brain. They don't, like the name, capitalization matters to match the name, but it doesn't like, you could do lowercase too. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we do glass underscore transparent. That's how we make it transparent. There we go. And so now we've got fridge and glass underscore transparent. So fridge is just a default base color and roughness, and glass transparent is a default base color and roughness plus a Mesa file, which means we need a Mesa file. We only have the 2 textures, so we need to make our Mesa. And I usually do this in Blender because it's really easy. You open up Texture Paint, create a new texture. I like to set mine to 3232. And then under color, we can change this to RGB. And you'll remember that Mesa correlates to RGBA, so MESA, where red is metallic, green is emission, blue is specular, and A is alpha. So we're going to set the metal to 100% or 1, and that's going to allow us to make it shiny. The emission is going to be at 0 because we don't want it to look like it's glowing. The specular is going to also be at 1, which makes it bright lit. If it's 0, it means it's like shadowed or occluded. So you want to use specular of 1. And then alpha, we're going to set to 0.25. So it's 25% transparent. I think that'll look decent. With that set up, we can press OK, which will now create this image. We're then going to, you can see some lines on here. I think that's just because I have the fridge selected. We can ignore it. It's really just a singular color. So if I unselect the fridge, I don't know if I can from here. Well, anyway, if I didn't have the fridge selected, it would not show that. We're going to go to Image and press Save As, and now we're going to save this Mesa file. And remember, the Mesa file is for the glass. I was saving this into my Downloads folder 250701, so I'll go into that folder as well. And then I'm going to rename this, and it has to mirror the glass PNG name. So it's capital GLASS underscore MESA. And noting here, the capitalization of the G in glass matters because that's what I named it in the materials file. And we'll click Save as Image. Okay, now that that's done, we can export our FBX. We'll go back to the modeling view and then click File, Export FBX, and we'll export that to the same folder, and we'll call this Fridge with Glass, and that'll be .fbx, and press Export, so that way we differentiate it from the original FBX file. Coming back into our folder over here, we can see we have the fridge with glass, and I'm going to create a new folder called Other Files, where I can put stuff that we're not using right now. So like the original fridge we don't need. These two original textures we don't need. Those were the JPEGs, not the PNGs. And so these are the 4 that we're going to be uploading with to Horizon. And so glass, we have the underscore Mesa file, which you can see is just this pink square. If I select glass, this is the texture itself. We want to select this and change it to be underscore BR, which means base color and roughness. And so now that we have our Mesa and our glass base color and roughness ready to go, we just need to get fridge set up, which also needs to be underscore BR. So we'll go ahead and click rename, fridge underscore BR, noting that once again, the naming has to be the exact same name as we named it in the materials properties panel for fridge. So checking out, this one's labeled fridge, and this one's labeled glass underscore transparent. The underscore tells Horizon that this is a transparent thing, and it needs to find a Mesa file. So that's why we can't use underscores in our naming. And so with this setup, we have everything we need to upload. We have our fridge with glass. We have the fridge's base color and roughness. We have the glass base color and roughness and glass Mesa. Back in Horizon, and we'll pop on over there, we can go to Add New, 3D Model, unclick Preserve Offset Pivots. I really feel like that should be unclicked by default. But anyway, I digress. We're then going to select all of these and press Open. And now that we have this set up, we can see that this has an option for levels of detail. I forgot that's a new feature I haven't played with yet. Very exciting. At some point, would love to play with that. But here we have everything ready to go. We can now click Import. This will take a second or two. And in the meantime, I am going to close out of the things that we are done with. I think we might go back to Blender and show you how to make this look good in Blender in a minute. And it looks like it should be just about done any minute now. Sometimes when I'm feeling impatient, I just go to the top folder and then back in. There it is. Now it's done. As you can see, I didn't really need to do that, but now we can drag it out. Okay. That looks good. That looks good. If we fly around it, you can see we have this kind of glassy look. There's definitely something there. If we go through, you can really see that line through the screen of where the glass is. And I'm not feeling like I'm seeing the reflection. I feel like reflections are usually a lot easier to see in Horizon. The reflection is caused by the metallic. So we'd set metallic to 100%. I think we'd be able to see a lot easier in VR, but there we go. Nice. So yeah, that's how you set that up in Blender to import. There are no lights in here. I'd seen in the render on the website that this asset was bought from, that there were lights underneath. I would recommend going into your build, going into shapes, and grabbing a cube. That's not going to glow though. Maybe we'll make a glow cube real quick in Blender. It will only take a second. But we can bring out a light. So if you really want light, you can use the light gizmo, static light gizmo right here. And the static light gizmo is going to give you a lot of extra light inside of here. I think we'd want to reverse. No, I guess that's just a cube light. But yeah, I would set it to like rectangle probably, and then squish it down to be in the exact spot. So like right there, you could grab your scale tool, skinify that, basically make it look like a light, and then you'd have a physical light to go along with this, because this is just the, right, so this would go right here. You can't see that when you're in preview mode, so let's go ahead and delete the original. And then selecting this and this, we can drag that down to the surface of the world. There we go, and up just a hair. There we go. Preview from here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see this because we're now below. Oh yeah, we can. So you can see that there's nothing to be seen. So that's why we need a glow object, but it does put off light. So you can kind of see the left side is a lot more lit. And so you'd use the static light in parallel with a glow object. So we'll come back to that in just a minute. First, in Blender, if you want to see this rendered correctly, what you need to do is switch to the viewport shading option here in the top right. We'll select that. And here you can see it's trying to render it, but it can't because we haven't linked these materials with the correct file. So under the base color for glass, we'll hit the yellow dot, select image texture, open the image texture, go into our downloads folder, 07, find the glass BR, right? We need the base color roughness because Mesa is just for Meta or Horizon. We'll click open, and now you can see this has a texture on it, and it is the same texture because it's got the cooling logo right there. The problem is it's not transparent. Now to make it transparent, if you look down here under the materials property, you can see that the alpha is set to 15%, but then if you scroll down, the blend mode is set to opaque, which means it's solid. If we change it from opaque to alpha blend, you are going to get that nice transparency with a little bit of reflection. Very good. I'm going to change this from edit mode to object mode so we get rid of the lines so you can really see that reflection. It's nice. Now that reflection is provided by Blender and is not nearly, I mean, Horizon is not nearly as good as the Blender reflection, but it's pretty, I wouldn't even say comparable, but anyway, it's a thing. So now we're going to go to Fridge, do the same thing, clicking the yellow button to select an image texture, pressing open, going into that folder, grabbing our fridge base color and roughness, pressing open, and now we have our fridge previewed in Blender. Now, the reason you might want to do this is if you were going to build your whole world in Blender and then import it into Horizon, you could get a preview of what it's going to look like. I personally just bring stuff into Horizon, so I don't really do this previewing. I just like set it up like I did the first time to show you, and then I bring it into Horizon, make sure it looks good. If I need to, I can come back and change things here in Blender as needed. Okay, so that's a fridge. We're going to go ahead and delete this now that we're done, and we're going to go to our, under modeling, add, and we're going to add a mesh cube, and this mesh cube is going to represent a glow light. And to make this glow, we're going to go down to materials, select new, and we want this to glow, which is unlit. And let's see, oh, I'm realizing this has been full screened, so you might have been missing some of that. Oh boy, darn it. Let's try that one more time really quickly. I'm so sorry. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. So here we had our fridge, we had our glass transparent, and under glass, under fridge, this is the yellow dot. Oh man, let's just undo everything. We'll do it real quick. We'll just do a speed run. So switching back to object mode, switching over here on glass transparent, hitting the yellow dot, selecting image texture, pressing open, selecting our file for glass base color roughness, scrolling down on the materials, you'll see alpha was set to 15%, and then blend mode is set to opaque. We need to change it to alpha blend so that it is transparent. And now that that one is done, we can go to fridge, selecting the yellow dot as well, image texture, open, going back to here, selecting fridge, place color roughness, pressing open, and now we have that set up in Blender for previewing, just as before. I am so sorry that that was cropped in the wrong way. Okay, so now we can delete that and move on to our glow cube. Oh, I gotta go up here, that's right. Right click, delete hierarchy. And now we're gonna go click modeling, add mesh cube. And this cube we wanna be transparent, so we're gonna switch into our document over here, which has some of the examples. We have an unlit image. We don't need it to be transparent, so unlit should be the trick. We could use an MEO file as well. So there are definitely multiple ways to do it. I think we're just gonna use unlit because it's the easiest. And yeah, that's it. So like really, really easy. So right here we click new to create the material. We're then gonna just call it color. We'll call this texture underscore unlit. And now that we have our texture underscore unlit, we are done. We just click File, Export, FBX, and then we can save it in here as a light, unlit, and press Export FBX. And now that we have that cube exported, we can close out of Blender. We don't need to save it. We're then going to go back into Horizon, grab Add New 3D Model. We're not going to create a texture for it because it's just going to be a glowing white cube. So we can then select our light unlit, press Open, press Import. That shouldn't take too long since there aren't any files to go with it. And I'm going to pull that out now. Once it's out, I can press F to focus, and then pressing Alt on my keyboard, F to focus, pressing Control, no. How do I keep forgetting this? Oh, it's right click. F to focus, Alt right click. No, that's not it. There it is, Alt left click. One day I'll remember that. So now that we have this cube, we can resize it using the scale tool. We'll just scale that down nicely. And then we can scale it along one of the axes to make it extra long like this, so it fills the entire shop display. And then we do have the static light in position, so I can grab the position by doing right click, copy position, going to the light, and then right click, paste position. And then that can be dragged over to the left using the slide tool. And now we have a nice little light inside of here. Very nice. It's kind of hard to see with the light being not centered, so I should take this static light and move it to the position of the light. So I'm going to right click, copy position of the light, and then paste the static light so it moves over to the center. Very nice. And I do think that this static light, it says rectangle, but there's an arrow. That's weird. Maybe I should have said cuboid? Yeah, cuboid looks nice. That's kind of more of what I was going for. And then I can change the scale on that as well to be more in line. That's weird that it's not scaling as I would expect. Maybe rectangle was the way to go. I'm not actually sure. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and leave that there. Okay, if we go into preview mode, we can now see that there is a nice little light inside that looks like it's glowing, and it does actually put off light with that static light gizmo. So you can do that for all the levels or whatnot. And if you want to change the color of the light, selecting this light unlit, just like before, you can change the tint color. So if we wanted this to be kind of a cool, vibey, magenta, pinky color, we could change that and then change the tint strength to 1. Now we've got a nice pink. I might change the tint strength to more like 0.7, so it looks a little more like a glowing light, maybe 0.9, 0.85, perfect, 0.8, actually perfect. And then we can go to our static light, and what you can do that's kind of nice here is you can do that same thing, right-click, copy color, and then right-click, paste. And now we've got the same color being applied. And if we go pull out an environment gizmo, we can preview this at night. So pulling out an environment gizmo and setting it from daytime to nighttime, and then hitting, I don't like that night, let's try midnight black, that's better. Going into preview, you can now see there's this cool pink light, and there is a little bit, it's kind of hard to see in the video I'm sure, but you can see there's a little bit of pink being applied around it. And I would personally play with this until you get the right setting. So if we select both of these, Let's try that one more time. And then Control D, slide up the copy, or maybe down the copy. So there's 2 copies of this. Move that to hit the top, perfect. And then maybe pull that to the center-ish, right? Not bad, not bad. Maybe center back a little bit more. And then we can go to our static light and adjust the properties on it for intensity to more like 25. That's getting a little bit better. What we can do with the static light is move it to be more centered and more down so it really applies where we want it to apply. Because you can't see the static light in the environment, right, when it's done. So it doesn't matter where you put it as long as it's a casting light the way that you want it to cast light. Change this one to 20 and then go into preview mode. And now you can see this kind of really cool lighting display. Neat. Okay. I think that just about covers everything that I wanted to talk about in today's little tutorial on how to import models like that. There is quite a bit more to it. We've made a few tutorials over the last year, so feel free to check some of those out. If you have more questions, be sure to ask them in Discord like this user did, and thank you so much for asking. We will see you in the next one. Bye!